Ooh, wow. Lately, I've been thinking a bit about the difference between being in pain or being sore and actually being physically compromised, having an injury, right? Because when you play a sport, if you have before, you're going to get to this point where there has to be this distinction, because soreness is not something to shy away from. Soreness and pain is just part of the process of growing and using what you have. But then when you're injured, we're talking about something so different. And I think the mental distinction, the simplest way to identify, am I just sore and in pain, or am I actually working through something that has to be healed and given proper space? It comes down to the sharpness of the feeling. If the soreness is tough, but it's a full body thing, that's just a sign that you worked hard, that you're meant to come back the next day. But if there is something compromising your daily movements, for example, when I tweaked my groin at jiu-jitsu, I'm telling you, like, walking my dogs was challenging. Getting in and out of vehicles, there was sharp pain. So that's your little hint right there. It's just understanding how sharp is the pain. Because if the pain, 1 to 10, if the pain's a 2 or 3 and it's just spread throughout your body, that's all good. That just means you're working on it. But if the pain is like a 7 and 8, and your normal actions, getting in and out of bed, taking a shower, walking, getting in and out of the car, if that stuff becomes filled with sharp pain, there you go. You have something that I don't even want to label an injury. More so, you just tweak something, right? Maybe you have a little strain or a minor tear. But my point is here that we want to focus on using the idea that we're healed, that we're focused on healing. We're not injured, we're not sick. We're focused on healing. The same thing, just in a much better flavor. There's something kind of magical about when you are at the crossroad between your physical limits and your mental crossing of that threshold. Because mentally, you can get through your physical limitations if you have the key to the lock. And that key is within your processing, within the thoughts that you choose to create internally. See, there are going to be thoughts that happen unintentionally, and those are, more often than not, the thoughts that keep you under a glass ceiling, that keep you selling yourself short. Like, when we think big picture, there's a difference between humans, right? We all have so many similarities, but so many humans have drastically different outcomes in life than others. And then we ask the question, like, what is the driver there? Because if we all have a heart, we all have a mind, we have all the internal organs. Okay, so we're dealt a different hand, right? We're born into different families, different countries, different circumstances. That's one thing. But then we can go even further into this, because there are people who are born with what you would label a poor hand, who have become wealthy, who have become high-level humans. And then you can take the same people from the same group who are maybe homeless or miserable or depressed, just working a 9 to 5. Who knows? My point is, it's fascinating who chooses to become more aware of the power within their internal, and how when you get more specific and intentional with the thoughts you choose to run through your mind, your outcomes change as well. And your ability to push through those barriers, those mental limitations that I was touching on right last set, so much of that is trained through focusing your attention, like going into that flow state. But then to even get more of a effortless flavor of that flow state is to meditate. to meditate in the beginning of your day, 20-minute sessions, 25-minute, something more than 15 minutes. And then toss in like another meditation if you can later in your day. Well, it's all a matter of priorities if you can. Like, I would say 5 out of 7 days a week. If you're meditating more than 30 minutes a day, give yourself more than 6 months of doing that, and you're going to drastically start to realize how much bullshit runs through your mind. And then when you start to become aware of how much bullshit there is within the mind, you can start to filter that out. And then you become sort of this individual who is so observant of their internal emotions, reactions, and thoughts that you stop creating problems in your life and everything begins to get easier. Because most problems in your life, in previous Justin's life, we don't realize, but more often than not, they're created through our own lack of awareness of our reactions and thoughts. So when you clean that up, you have less problems. Less problems, oh boy. Wow. Wow. Like, it's nice when you push yourself to the brink. It's like, oh, everything just cleans up. Your mind clears up. And I mean, it's just this nice place of, hey, I'm here. What am I? I'm not worrying about jack shit. Just flowing. Exactly. Yep. It's that. What is the flow state? Like, in the simplest of terms, it's the absence of thought. When you're a kid, I don't know how many of you like actually recall, but most children are in that flow state. Like, that is all they know. They don't know conscious thinking because the ego hasn't began to develop yet. And once your ego begins to develop, then you start thinking. Then you start to have worries and fears and all of that stuff that comes with the conscious awareness of the ego. But when you're in that flow state, it's almost as if you're unconscious in a beautiful way. I'm not talking like blackout, unconscious. I'm just talking absence of thought, clear mind, freedom within. When I'm going through this entire workout, it just makes so much sense for me to go from push to pull, push to pull, push to pull. I know some people, do their workouts based on muscle sets, muscle groups, but I don't know. Like, I'm not saying this isn't tiring, but I am saying it feels so much more enjoyable when I'm moving in a variation of push to pull. If I were to just do, like, I'm sure you can enjoy your workouts doing it just by muscle groups and push. All I think is test out new variations. That's all my point is. If you're open to testing new things out, you might find something that you enjoy more than what you're previously doing. And when we're talking about the gym, it's pretty much a lifestyle. If you're actually committed to health, it's a lifestyle. So point is, it's something that's going to be going on for years and years and years. And if you can't figure out how to make that thing that goes on for years and years sustainable and enjoyable, what's going to happen? See, when I'm in here working on these machines, whatever it is, it makes sense to start in a sustainable way. I like this phrase, sustainable intensity. And it's essentially pointing at you want to prioritize consistency and longevity while also prioritizing intensity and how to get that balance between two paradoxical ends. Like sustainability and intensity are pretty much the opposite end of the spectrum. But that's where the magic lies. When you can learn how to tap into extremes for moments and do that intentionally, precisely, in a way where you don't go too intense so that you burn yourself out, in a way where you're not so focused on consistency that you don't get results. You see, there is nothing more crushing or disappointing than seeing a consistent being, a consistent human who gets no damn results. Those people who have been in the gym 5-10 years and they don't look like they're in good shape. Or the people who love working out. See, I'm not here to rave on these individuals, just to make an example of them. And you also don't want to be that super intense person who goes all in, who impresses people, and then doesn't show up for days or weeks. So what can you do, though, to get more close to that balance between sustainability and intensity? For me, one of the simplest ways to do it is to ease into things. When I start my day, I wake up at 3 a.m., not because I'm great or I'm Superman. I wake up at 3 a.m. because it gives me the space in my day to not rush my morning. And when I don't have to rush my morning, everything feels better. And guess what? Since I woke up at 3, even not rushing, I'm still ahead. That's ahead is a idea that we'll get into in a future video. Ahead and behind. They don't really mean jack shit. But in this context, it makes you feel like you're ahead. It's a delusion to be ahead or behind. There's something else I want to say, but I forgot. Oh, and for sustainable intensity in the gym, what I found that works so great is it's kind of common sense. I'm not telling you anything crazy right here. When you first get on a machine, you start with the lighter weight. You do a set, you do a bunch of reps, lightweight, like 30 reps, get the form, get the muscle movement, and then pile on the weight once your muscles are warm. Really? Did I just tell you? No, it's so simple, but it works, I promise. Wow. Wow. Stretching? You know, sometimes you're just speechless. It's a nice feeling to be speechless. You don't really... I think I know that I have, and a lot of other humans seem to tend to oversell themselves, meaning that you speak too much. And big conundrum here, me being the one who records myself talking to myself, talking to you. Yeah, nice one. But what I'm saying here is, the reason I give myself an exception there is anyone who listens, you chose to listen, you chose to click. What I'm getting at here is a lot of humans are in a physical interaction and they oversell themselves. And when I say oversell, I just mean they don't know how to smoothly close out an interaction. Oh my God. I remember, like my high school boys, you know, it's not like I'm going on a date with these people. I'm talking about people I played football with, throw the football with, video games, like the normal stuff. And we continuously had awkward salutes, awkward goodbyes after hanging out. It was so interesting. And then I noticed it wasn't just with them. And it wasn't just with me. Like, I have realized so many people, they just sometimes speak too much. They don't know when to walk away. And this could be in many different circumstances, right? It could be with the friends, doesn't matter. Or it could be with a toxic relationship where you don't know when to walk away. And I've felt a lot of pain from this lack of clarity around how to conclude things, how to conclude a relationship, how to conclude a session. And if there's anything practical, I would say you just have to be sharp to the point and to follow through on the thought. Because you have a thought, right? Go up to that beautiful girl and say hi, see what happens, right? And then you start talking yourself out of it. You have that thought, okay, I want to leave. And then you start talking yourself out of it. And I went up to a beautiful lady a couple weeks ago, and that same thing happened. I was like, I should go up talk to her. And then I started to doop, doop, and immediately I recognized it. See, this is the big difference between just and now and a few years ago. Through meditation, through improving, through personal development, I became more aware of my internal, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. And so last, 2 weeks, a month ago, whenever, when I went up to this beautiful lady, I noticed my bullshit thinking, and immediately once I noticed it, just walked up, just said, nah, I know you too much. I know my second guessing part of me too much. And I know that listening to that weak pussy part doesn't help me. So I just said, nah, and just walked up to her immediately. What happened? You don't need to know, but it went smooth. It went smooth. It was so enjoyable of a conversation for hours. And had I listened to that voice that began to talk me out of it, that voice of overselling yourself, I would have never done it. So just focus on paying attention to that part of you and moving through it, acknowledging it's there and moving through it. It doesn't need any explanation. You don't need to convince yourself. Just ignore it by accepting that it's there and acknowledging that it's there. And I almost forgot. So lastly, what I want to say is, if you've enjoyed this, if you are someone who is absolutely sincere about your personal development, just reach out, shoot me an email. Email will be in the description, and type session. If you're sincere about personal development, I have something for you, totally free, but for sincere individuals. Do not email me session if you're not truly committed to evolving yourself. If this helps you, just share it with a friend. I'd love to hear what you thought was most valuable. Feel free to drop a comment. I'll reply. And lastly, if you give me a like or rating if you're on the podcast, I appreciate it. Have a good day.